Amanda here. Welcome back to Handmade No Hallmark, and today I've got this fun Halloween card featuring some new products from Simon Says Stamp. I really enjoyed making this card. I hope you do as well. Let's get into it. The first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to get my background all stamped, so I've got a piece of Bristol Smooth cardstock here. I just took a large piece there. They come like 9 by 12, and I just cut it in half. And I'm taking the new Simon Says Stamp Pumpkin to Talk About cling stamp, and this is from their Stamptember release. This isn't one of those exclusive sets that, you know, once it sells out you can't get it anymore. This one will be restocked, and I really fell in love with it when I saw it because I feel like there's lots of different things that you can do with it. And the first thing that I wanted to do with it is I wanted to color in all of those beautiful pumpkins with some nice watercoloring and just have a nice relaxing afternoon. So that's what I wanted to do today. So I'm gonna first stamp on this Bristol Smooth cardstock, and I'm going to heat emboss on it using some Simon Says Stamp clear embossing ink and some of their antique gold embossing powder. And I really liked adding the gold to this. You definitely don't have to do the embossing. You could definitely stamp this down with just black ink. But I wanted to do the embossing because I'm not the best when it comes to watercoloring. I'm kind of messy. And doing the embossing helps kind of contain whatever it is that you're painting into a certain area. So that's what I wanted to do with this one. You don't have to use the gold. You could easily do black and do the embossing as well, which would make it stand out a little bit more. I just wanted to do something really subtle. I really like gold with all the autumn colors, and I really felt like it went well with this card. So I just did the stamping a couple of times to make sure that I had a really good impression and that I had all of those beautiful pumpkins stamped down. Now I'm not going to be using all of the pumpkins, but this definitely can be utilized for multiple cards if you did, like, you know, smaller areas. But this background is absolutely wonderful, and I love it. Just this nice muted color too, which would be fun for a background as well. And you can see I'm just kind of making sure that I have enough space for my the area that I want to paint. And I did press a little bit too hard in one area, so I did get like this big old like mark on it, but I wasn't super concerned about it. I'm just going to brush away that embossing powder, and then when I paint it, you don't even notice it either. So once that embossing powder dries, you can just work right over top of it. So if something like that happens, don't worry. You can just brush that away before you do any heating, and it'll be just fine. So look how beautiful those pumpkins are. I love the way that they're illustrated. I love all the line work on them. I love that they all have different stems, and you could easily color these in with whatever medium that you like. Watercoloring is a little bit of a faster way if you don't, you know, kind of go into too much detail. You could do ink smushing, which I think would be really fun, making like multicolored pumpkins. You could use Copic markers, you could use Olo markers, you could use just about anything. But this is just a really fun, versatile set. And I've seen people use it for Halloween as well, not just for autumn, which I thought was really cool. Simon Says Stamp's got a lot of examples on their website and their blog about using this stamp set, so you could go check that out as well. So just going to heat that up with my heat gun, make sure I've got all of those areas nice and melted so that when I go in and paint, I'm not, you know, brushing away any of that embossing powder. Once I had all of that nice and melted, I taped it down to a hardboard so that whenever I watercolor, it doesn't kind of warp up. These are the colors I'm going to be using today: ground espresso, spiced marmalade, frayed burlap, peeled paint, crackling campfire, and fossilized amber, excuse me. And I'm just smushing these Distress Oxide inks onto a like a paint palette. You could easily use regular Distress ink. You could use regular watercolor, any kind of paint that you have. I really like painting with Distress inks, not just the oxides, but the regular ones as well. The oxides are going to give you a little bit more of a muted kind of color. So I'm going to put on a little bit of music for you guys to enjoy while I do all of the painting. And when I'm all done, we'll come back and finish up this card together. Once the painting was all done, I set it off to the side to dry completely, and while it's doing that, I'm going to work on our greeting. So I'm using the Happy Autumn die from Simon Says Stamp. This came out, I think, last year, and I wanted to create kind of like a vellum background to go with it, and this is one of my favorite ways to kind of create, I guess to use vellum, not really create, with these word dies, is I take 2 layers, sometimes 3, and stack them together using some of the Simon Says Stamp glue stick. You could definitely use a Xyron sticker maker, but I don't have one of those, so this glue stick works just fine. And I just sandwich those together and put them under acrylic block, and it works out perfectly. And it's great because it helps hide any adhesive. So if you did 3 layers, you could pop it up and I use some, foam squares, but I just glued it flat down on my card. But the vellum doing double stacked really helps kind of hide any adhesive that might overflow. So this die is in quite a few pieces, but it's really easy to stack together. I'm just using this really pretty PLUM cardstock. I believe it's from Tonic Studios. This was just a scrap I had in my stash that I had. I think I only had like a couple pieces left, but I'll definitely link to something similar if I can't find this exact one. But I really like using PLUM colors for fall cards. Fall is my favorite season, and yesterday was the first day of fall, and I'm super excited about it. I know I've had a little bit of a lull on my videos here, but I really do love fall, and the weather is finally starting to cool off. The nights are getting cool, and the leaves are starting to change, so it's super fun, and I'm super excited. And I'm sorry if you hear a truck go by. We live right near like this highway, and all these coal trucks go by, so I'm sorry if you heard any trucks. But stacking these up 3 together to create a nice dimensional die cut here, and I really love the script and the font on this. I think it's super fun. It's different, and over top of that vellum, I think it looks really pretty as well. Just using some liquid adhesive here just to line all these up, and it was really easy to get this lined up. I definitely started with that bigger piece, and then it helped you kind of see where the other elements needed to go, and just line them right up and pop them in place, and it's super fun. I really like this Happy Autumn die. I think it's really versatile. I love the size of it. It's really, right in the center. It's a nice statement piece that goes well on a card. And if you wanted to, if you felt froggy, you could like cut away that autumn part from the happy. I think you could do it if you had a steady hand and just use the autumn, which would be fun. But either way, it's a really nice stamp set. I wanted to use a secondary greeting on my card today, and I got this one from a Hello Bluebird set. I think it's the Friendsgiving one. I'm not sure if I'll be able to link to it because Hello Bluebird I'm not sure if everybody knows about Hello Bluebird, but they kind of had this big like warehouse stock out, and all of their regular stamp sets and things that they did have aren't available anymore. Well, some of them might still be. I'll see if this one is still available, but you could use any autumn greeting to do a secondary greeting from any set. I like to mix and match with my products that I have. If I find something that goes well, I like to use it. So I just use that same gold embossing powder that I used for the pumpkins and just heat emboss that and cut it out using a banner die. Now that everything's all ready, after everything was nice and dry on my pumpkins, I went ahead and did my die cutting. So I die cut the pumpkin panel using one of my waffle flower A2 sized dies, nesting dies, and it cuts it just a little bit smaller than a normal A2 size. And then I also took one of Simon Says Stamp's frame dies. I'll make sure I link to this one below. I have done this so many times in the past. This is one of my favorite sets to do. Nice kind of like create a focal point. What it does is it creates a nice thin frame, and it kind of gives like focus to something right in the middle. And again, I'll link to some other videos that I've used this for in the past. I originally was going to do like gold on this, but I felt like it got lost. I did die cut it, but the gold got lost. You couldn't really see it. It didn't really kind of draw any focus. So I decided to use white instead to match with the greeting. So that kind of brings all of those elements together. And then my card base is that same plum colored cardstock. Kind of brings the plum from the greeting together, and then the white as well. So for this, I just run a thin bead of glue around that frame to adhere that really dainty one on the inside, and then I use the same. I always use liquid glue for this because it gives you just a little bit of wiggle room to get that really thin frame in place. And you can see here that white frame creates just enough interest to draw your eye to the center of the card, and that's where our greetings are going to be at. And it doesn't take away from too much of what we did there. It's a little scary cutting into something that you took so much time to paint, but I really like doing this. It just creates some nice focus and interest to the card. Gonna get that autumn adhered right there in the middle. I love that so much. And then I'm just gonna trim down this greeting a little bit more so that it fits nicely underneath that happy autumn. I'm just gonna use some foam adhesive to adhere this down so there's a little bit of dimension. This is very much a one-layer card. You could add as much dimension as you like. You could pop up these different frame layers. I've seen some people do that in the past as well. But I just wanted to keep it nice and flat and simple. And then I'm going to add in a little bit of shimmer to the greeting itself. You could definitely add some more shimmer and shine to like the pumpkins by using one of these liquid brushes to paint with, which I've seen a lot of people do in the past as well, is you use a shimmer pen like this. It's strictly used for painting, and you paint with it, and that's where you get your liquid to do any of your painting. So the inside of my card, I wanted to add just a little bit more interest, and I really liked these pumpkins so much that I wanted to add something on the inside where you could write your greeting. So that inside part where I cut the frame, I'm using that for the inside of the card where I can add my greeting. So I just took the pumpkin background and I stamped it using some fog gray ink from Simon. And I'm just really lightly going to add those pumpkins to the background of this little panel just to add some interest to the inside of the card and draw everything together. And it's really faint, really subtle. It's kind of hard to see on screen here, but in real life that it looks really cute. I'm going to adhere that down using some liquid adhesive, and that will finish up this card for today. I really appreciate you guys stopping by and taking the time to watch my video. If you liked it, please consider hitting the like button as well as the subscribe so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my YouTube channel. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I can't wait to share with you some more videos. Bye! I have a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. Please consider hitting the like button as well as the subscribe so you don't miss out on any more videos here at my YouTube channel.